What's up, guys? This is the first of my Endgame set reviews that I will be doing over the course of this month. Yes, they're a little late, and this was because I spent a lot of time on my Endgame trailer recreation, which you can check out in the description if you haven't already. Anyway, today I'll be doing a review of 76125 Iron Man Hall of Armour, which is, of course, from the Marvel Superheroes theme. It comes with 524 parts and 6 minifigures, and it costs $60. Let's get into it. The first minifigure is the Iron Man Mark 50, which is a complete reuse of the figure from last year's Infinity War sets. It still works though, and the printing looks good, especially on the torso. Like most figures we get, it doesn't have any arm printing, but the helmet is printed and I like the blue coloring on the eyes. Underneath the helmet we get the current norm for Tony Stark's face. It definitely resembles Robert Downey Jr. and does a better job than the printing used previously. For an alternate expression we get this heads-up display printing, which isn't new or anything, but still worthy of note. He does come with hair though. Overall, this figure isn't a standout, but it definitely gets the job done and I don't mind the reuse, since it's the same suit from last year. The second figure we get is the first of the 3 extra or display suits in this set. It's the Iron Man Mark 1 from the first Iron Man movie, and we've been waiting for this for a long time. It's nice to get some of these older suits that haven't yet been made in LEGO. Anyway, the printing on this figure is great, with intricate detail on both the torso and legs. The printing even gives off a nice rusty effect that continues onto the helmet. Speaking of the helmet, a lot of people hate it, but I really don't mind the reuse of this mold, but we'll see whenever I do an Are They Accurate video. Underneath the helmet there's no face, but instead a transparent head that you can switch out if you want Tony Stark to use the suit. There's also a jetpack included that is meant for this suit, and we'll see that again later. Overall, I think this figure is great, and definitely a nice inclusion. Next up is the Iron Man Mark 5, or the Suitcase armor. This hasn't been made before in LEGO either, except for the suitcase that was included in the Malibu Mansion set. The suit transforms out of the suitcase in the movie, and I think it's a nice inclusion to the set, especially if you have the Malibu Mansion. Anyway, the printing on this figure is no less detailed than the last, and there are even a couple of lines printed on the helmet. Once again, there is no face underneath the helmet, but instead a transparent head. Overall, this figure is a great inclusion, especially because we already have the suitcase in LEGO form. The fourth figure is Iron Man Mark 41, or Bones as he is often called. If the figures before were really detailed, this is even more so. You can see all the thin lines running across the torso, and there's a ton of tiny dots all over the place, not to mention the lines on the helmet. The printing is phenomenal. Underneath the helmet there's the transparent head again, of course, but once again it's fine. Anyway, overall this figure is great and looks really cool, even though it was probably the least necessary suit of the 3. It might be my favorite. For the last 2 figures we get 2 identical Outriders, which are also exactly like the ones from last year, although there are more in this line that aren't. They have fairly detailed printing, but it doesn't extend onto the legs whatsoever, which is a big letdown. They still have 6 arms, which is the wrong amount, and the head should probably be its own mold instead of a print, but it's not a huge deal. Anyway, these figures are decent at best. Moving on to the builds, we have Dummy. Now this is actually different than the other 2 dummies that exist, even the one that came in the same line of sets. It has a dunce cap and a fire extinguisher, and is a fine little build overall. There's little to talk about here, though. The next build is Igor. The next quality build, for real, Igor is bad. He's made so you can put a figure inside him, which looks terrible. Also, his head's only half printed with this duckbill thing coming out of the bottom. I'm sure I'll make fun of him again in my Are They Accurate video, but for now we'll just stop there. He uses a lot of mini ball joints, which works well, and the back could definitely look worse. I like the way his arms and legs look, it's just his torso and head that ruin it. LEGO really shouldn't have made it to fit a figure inside and done something else with the whole head area. Anyway, let's get to the main build. We get this really cool armor display room that comes apart in sections at both the back wall and this main display area up in the front. On the back wall there are 9 spots that hold either Iron Man suits or other stuff. You've got a gumball machine over here next to this weird thing with a fire extinguisher gun and a piece that's meant to simulate water being sprayed. It's actually a reuse of Scarlet Witch's powers from the Age of Ultron sets. This is a much better use since Wanda's powers are supposed to be red. Next we have the jetpack that I showed you guys earlier. It's not a new mold, but it's a pretty cool inclusion anyway. Lastly, we have a couple of clips to hold tools and a stand for either helmets or Tony's hair if it's not on him. On the end there's a ladder going up to the walkway above the suits. There's nothing up there but a railing and the satellite dish thing. Around the back we have some stickering showing some Iron Man suits. We have the Mark 5, which does come in the set, even though Just Too Good thinks it doesn't. We also have the Mark 15, or the Striker, which we don't have yet, but would be cool to see in LEGO form. In addition to these, there's a panel with a bunch of other suits, like the Red Snapper and the Silver Centurion. Back around to the front, we get this nice suit display or maintenance stand, where you can put a suit while Tony repairs it using these nice, positionable arms. Up at the very front, we get a nice control center with a chair. On the screens, we see a warning about the Outriders, Phil Coulson as a blocked collar, some random control options, and Jarvis on the far right. Of course, you already know that these sections come apart. Lastly, we get these 2 small fires that I guess the Outriders set or something. Anyway, that's it for the main build. I really like it, and it can be extended easily if you have a second one. For the extra pieces, we get a lot of circular parts, but nothing that's really noteworthy. Alright, overall, I really like this set. There are a few negative things, like Igor, who probably gets bullied too much, and the lack of leg printing on the Outriders, but nothing unforgivable. Okay, maybe slightly. But I still think this is one of the, if not the, best set of the line. We'll see where I stand after my Are They Accurate video, but for now, I really like it. And that's it. Like this video if you want to see more like it in the future, and feel free to subscribe. Also, make sure you have your notifications turned on so you don't miss out on any of my upcoming videos. Thanks, guys.